Welcome to the St. Benedict's Episcopal School podcast, planting seeds, cultivating critical thinking, creativity, community, and lifelong learning. Here we'll take you on a transformative journey into the inner workings of this unique school and the people behind it. So sit up straight, school's in. And here's your host and head of school, Father Brian Sullivan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode, which is actually going to be 2 parts of the Planting Seeds podcast. As an 8-part original limited series, we are now adding a second part to this 8th episode. And so we are so happy that you are here. I'm Father Brian Sullivan, your host, head of school at St. Benedict's Episcopal School. And today we have the pleasure of sitting down with 3 remarkable alumni who continue to carry the torch of our school's values into the broader community and soon the world. 2 of them are getting ready to graduate from college. So as we delve into this insightful conversation, it's worth noting the next year marks the 15th anniversary of St. Benedict's Episcopal School. In celebration of this milestone, it only seems fitting to engage with some of our distinguished alumni who have not only embraced the essence of St. Benedict's during their time here, but have also taken these principles into their college journeys and beyond. Joining us today are Catherine Szymanski, currently enrolled at Georgia Tech. Matt Fierro is at Auburn. And Ryan Fierro, his older brother, is at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University down in Florida. Beyond their academic pursuits, all 3 generously contribute to our community. They actually have come back to teach at our summer camps and, in Kat's case, even substituting for classes during the school year. It was a shock, by the way, Kat, when I walked by and went, "Who's our new sub?" And you turned around and I went, "No, only means I'm getting older." So let's kick off this conversation with reflection on their unique journeys from St. Benedict's to college and soon to be beyond. Welcome, Kat, Matt, and Ryan. We're thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
To our listeners, they were telling me that all 3 of you have had tests today. Did I hear that right?
All 3 of us.
Yeah.
And here you are giving back to your community. You are awesome. So it's wonderful to have you on the podcast as alumni, and you've transitioned from here to high school. All 3 of you went to Holy Innocents, which is our sister Episcopal school down the street that actually has a high school. Did you all know that I graduated when it was just an 8th grade school?
I think vaguely.
Yeah, I think it was smaller than St. Benedict's is now, but it sort of had the same principles that we do. And being a nurturing community through 8th grade here, to your respective colleges, can you share the foundation laid during your early education at St. Benedict's and how it's influenced the paths that you've chosen? And again, jump in, whoever's first. I have a feeling I know who it will be. Go for it.
This is going to sound really just bland and corny, I guess, but kindness. I know that sounds obvious. I know that sounds like something that, okay, yeah, great. But what about, getting into the real world and outside of just school and stuff, it's like, it means something more. And at St. B's, everyone was just kind to each other. There was no hostility, and not to say like, oh, the world is not a kind place, but it's just like, it meant a lot going from someplace where everyone was, very wholesome with each other. And then it's like, oh, the real world, we can spread that and make the whole world a little bit brighter. Again, I know it sounds so corny, but it's just something I felt.
I think both of our classes were particularly small, especially like my graduating class. It went down from like 20 in 7th grade to like 10 in 8th grade. And so we were all just like so close. And I think that really helped like me make connections, to be able to build connections throughout like high school. And then now in college, like I have a nice close group of friends that I'm with. So it definitely helped like get close to people and understand people, especially at a young age.
On that, I think making friends is so hard in the real world. And I'm happy that St. Benedict's let us have that small community so that we could make friends and learn how to do that in a safe space. I think something else that I would take away from my experience there would have been not necessarily my drive, but my hard work. Like, we were challenged a lot by our teachers, especially Miss Filions in 6th and 7th grade. And Teacher Leffler to open our minds to different ideas and topics and to think about the world differently. And I think that by taking some of those principles and taking the things that, especially like Miss Filion taught us with our grammar, and just like the ways that she was so hard on us, it made us better students. Like, I definitely see that in my day-to-day classroom, especially still in college.
I was gonna say, I think like with what she was talking about with like Miss Filia and Teacher Leffler, like getting close with teachers, I definitely try to continue that through like high school. And even now, like in, I've got lectures of like 300 plus people and like trying to like talk with my teachers and make sure they know me and I know them. And like, I think that definitely helped.
I cat sit for one of my pre-calc teachers from freshman year. It was probably a class of like 200 and it was still on Zoom. And she would have this thing that she called happy hour, happy hour. She'd have office hours where you could talk about math, but then she had happy hour where you could come and just talk to her about anything you wanted to talk to her about. And so I got to know her and I got to know that she has cats and she was always looking for a cat sitter. So now like I keep her house key on my like key ring. And whenever she needs me, she just texts me and goes, hey, can you run over to my house and like let my cats, feed them? And on that note, like maintaining that relationship with your teachers, like it only gets easier from St. Benedict's and then on.
Ryan, what were you going to say?
I find it funny. I think all three of us thought about Teacher Leffler and Mrs. Filia as some of the most memorable teachers or some of the biggest impact on our, learning or our education path. Definitely think
they were the most quirky.
That too. Yeah.
And
they were memorable.
Miss Filia also went to Auburn. So, I mean, I haven't actually like reached out to her since I went to Auburn. So I think I should, but like it definitely is in the back of my mind. She had didn't she have the tail in her trunk?
Yes.
No, that was
is that a tiger?
Was that Coach? Okay. Well,
Coach.
One of the her entire room.
Yeah, they went to Auburn too.
Out. Yeah.
Yep.
Their entire room was just decked out in Auburn, and now I see why. So
I think they're coming this summer to do some camps. So if you guys are coming back, you'll get to see them. One of the things that those listening will not know is that in 2008, we had just bought the church building and your parents were standing out in the cold rain in November, looking at a dilapidated building, hearing the mission of our school, and they were bought in to the point that we were just starting a preschool, but because you all were also looking for an elementary school, we started a second grade, and that was Kat in Ryan's grade. And Matt, you were in the first grade. Tell me a little bit about how that experience of watching us grow. I mean, you left campus one year and there were zoning signs still up for your middle school. What was it like? What was some of the memories that you had just, the second grade, third grade, fourth grade when you were upstairs in the church building? What was that all like?
Oh God, my memory is so bad. But I mean, obviously I was like in first grade, I was so young. But like, I mean, I can still remember like going into some of the like buildings now, like the nursery, or I don't even know what it is now, but the nursery from like a year or two ago, like the room within the room, how that used to be there.
I loved the room in the room.
it was just so random.
So I don't know if you guys remember, but Nino, there was like a foosball table in that room because that's where you also had passport at the time. And there was like a point in time where Nino walked in and was like trying to play foosball, and he like went into a split in his school pants and he ripped them just in the middle of the school day.
Was that not during PE?
No, he was
I could have sworn that was during PE.
No, he was just in the room, like in that room. And he just was like, I'm going to do a split.
I was about to ask, was that purposely? Did he purposely do a split?
I think. I don't remember.
I do remember us when we were in that like one small building, and there were, I forget exactly how it works. I mean, we didn't know much about what was going on, but we did know that the preschoolers or the kindergartners, whoever was it that got moved in first, were like, oh man, why can't we move in now? How come they like the little ones get to move in? I do remember that, and then eventually, I think we remember moving our stuff onto the third floor. But that was funny.
I also remember, didn't we like share but not share a room, like where the current nurse's office is?
The library was a split room. Yeah, your fourth and fifth grade were in that room. Yep.
Well, no, not that room. The like for our first and second grade, because I know that was also split for fourth and fifth.
Oh yeah, grade. Yeah. The very first year. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was the bookcase splitting of the rooms.
Yep. So having seen that from that time, now you have come back and started teaching summer camps. Ryan and Kat, you all actually designed and implemented a STEAM camp. What was that like? What was it like coming back and now you're the Leffler of this little group of kids? I
mean, I always had fun with it. I wish I could do more, honestly. Like during the year, if I went to school closer, I think I'd love to do more like STEAM related stuff. And between that and So it is fun, working with kids and teaching them what I've learned and stuff.
I mean, on the note of like STEAM though, I mean, coming back from starting in this tiny classroom where we shared rooms and they were divided by bookcases, we now have like the whole middle school building, and Katie Axe, who's dedicated to a STEAM department. Like I went, and when I was substituting last May, she showed me how they have the new laser cutter, and there's like a 3D printer or something, and she helped me make my mom a pair of earrings that were like her initials out of that laser cutter. And I mean, like they have some really cool stuff that we definitely did not have, but is really cool to see. And also as an alumni, I get the benefit of using every now and then. So,
yeah, it's so different. Like the entire school is so different. I mean, it's pretty crazy. And I feel like every year,
in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, like the setup of the like the building and stuff. Like it's so much bigger now, and it's so much more. Rooms keep changing to accommodate things, and it's really interesting to see.
On Saturday when I was with Brian, we were talking about. He was like, "Have you seen any of the plans for like the new lab coming up?" And I was like, "No, I have no idea." But it's kind of cool to like think about how there's going to be a whole new building, and then something about whole new plans with the old buildings and moving people around. Like it's a cool idea to think about.
Yeah, I mean they got how much? I don't even know how much space, but that like whole like block like right across from the little field. I don't know how much that is, but
4.2 acres.
Yeah, that's kind of.
It's bigger than
crazy.
the main building. The land that the main building is on, and the building that we're looking to build is about the same size. So the middle school will have, it looks like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade with 3 sections of each grade, whereas you all had about a half a section. Kat, I think you and Ryan, you were a fourth of the whole grade.
Yeah, I was about to say they might have had a fourth of it.
Yeah, we had 7 kids.
What are you planning to do with the current middle school building?
We're looking to probably do 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay.
Yep, and just spread everybody out. So there are 10 classrooms here with a science room, and we still have cottages outside. So they'll have plenty of space for all the co-curriculars, art, science, music, not science, art, drama, and music, as well as PE. So yeah, it's exciting. And hopefully you guys are a part of that. One of the things that I was curious about, having now stepped on the other side of being an educator instead of being educated, what was that like? And have you been able to use the experiences teaching here in your current roles in college, or are you just taking tests?
I do a little bit of teaching here, specifically. Like, I mean, all incoming freshmen, I work with composite stuff, and I'll have incoming freshmen that have no idea how to do any of this stuff. So it is fun working with people who have no idea what they want to do with it, or no idea what to do, but they want to learn, and I'll happily teach them and show them and have them get into it and work hands-on. And I do correlate the two between working with the kids back at St. B's and working with these freshmen. It is kind of funny. I will also jokingly like have kindergartners who could use scissors better than these seniors.
We won't share this podcast at your university. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh no, I've said it to their face. But that's fun. And then between, I guess, going from learning to being an educator myself, there are some things that I see with teachers or professors, and there are aspects I like and aspects I don't, and it's fun. It is satisfying to implement what I like and what I don't like. And I can teach that myself and use those skills myself. For
me, I mean, I think St. B's focuses a lot on the Spanish curriculum, which I'm grateful for. I have always loved learning languages, and Spanish being the first one I ever did learn. And so with that in mind, in terms of teaching, I did end up tutoring for some time in Spanish. I helped middle school and high school students at other schools in the area with their courses and teaching them the way that I was taught at school at St. B's, which is the way that it makes sense to me. So I think it's really cool to be able to take what I've learned in terms of Spanish and how to incorporate that language, and how there's different teaching styles, and then take what I think has been most beneficial for me and having the ability to explain that to somebody else, and then being able to recognize that, like that click, or like the light bulb go off moment that these students are having once I finally be able to explain something that they actually can understand. So I think that's one way that I've taken the learning, the educator learning.
Yeah. And for me, I've had like people in some interviews like ask me questions about like my time and work at the camps. And it's a lot of like, I think one of the biggest things I got from it was patience with college and work and talking with people. And so definitely patience was a big factor I got from working there.
Well, and that actually leads into the next question that I have for you all, because college is not easy. Life starts to weigh heavy as you're starting to end your career there as students. What were some of the things you learned here at St. Benedict's that you think helped you in those tough times at school? Maybe things that didn't have to do with school. You don't have to share the details of that, but the skills that you learned here, how did you translate those when things got rough?
For me, I think the ability to ask for help. So St. Benedict's is a very welcoming community in that sense, where if you're struggling or you need extra tutoring or you don't understand something, I always felt very comfortable going up to my teachers and asking and furthering my understanding. And so that's something that I feel like a lot of my peers, especially in college, do struggle with. It's asking for help or like being able to identify that they need help and figuring out where to go for that. So instead of asking for help or emailing the professor or going to extra tutoring sessions, they just kind of dwell in it. And so that's something that St. Benedict taught me, was to just make sure that when I need something, that I find the appropriate people to seek that to problem solve.
I mean, I think Catherine answered that pretty perfectly because I feel the same, like in my, I just took a intermediate accounting exam this morning that he was talking about, and I know my teacher. My class isn't that big because it's a secondary accounting class, but I still am able to, like, he knows me. Like, I was like talking to him after the exam. Like, I was like, I realized that I forgot how to do something. It just lost my mind. And so we were like talking about that, and I've gone to his office hours. On our homeworks, we can do this thing where we email our professor. I've done that plenty of times, and he emails me at like 9:30, 9:45 at night. He's really good about it and being really helpful with that. Yeah, like she said, it's just, it's really helped you, like, because the classes were very small. And so because of that, you get that big connection with your teachers. And I think that's one of the most important things. A lot of other schools, you might not have that. And that's just such like an important aspect of school, that you can get the one-on-one experience and one-on-one learning to really fit your needs.
Get a little called out here, because that's actually one thing I do struggle with, is reaching out for help. I do also, I like to sit at the front of the class. I always, I like to, talk to my professor, when they're walking in, walking out, try to relate with them. Like Matthew and Kat said, go to their office hours and stuff.
There's one other thing that I think, just growing the school and seeing how scrappy and creative the school has been, just with space alone, we've attracted faculty who are also very creative in how they teach. I'm wondering if that rubbed off on you all as learners, how the creativity that surrounded you in the classroom has helped you become the learners that you are.
I mean, I think I'm an open-minded learner, if that can even be applied to this question. So like the creativity that the teachers would bring would ensure that I was, I think, almost more like a well-rounded, not only student, but also a person. The one thing that comes to mind would be Teacher Leffler. So like Teacher Leffler always had out-of-the-box ideas and out-of-the-box activities, and he was definitely one of the more creative teachers, in my opinion. So, for example, when we were reading like I Am Malala in 6th grade, he made sure that we had dates and had a picnic of like cultural foods, which is something that, you might not always do, but it was something creative and outside the box that we could implement what we were learning in the classroom outside of the classroom. So like, I think that when they're creative, it allows us to think more outside the box, which is what the world really needs, especially I think within a lot of different fields. Like, so not just Ryan with aeronautical and engineering and stuff, but even with like me, who's technically a psychology major, like there's a lot of different ways to think outside the box.
Yeah. Personally, I'm not the most creative person, I'll be honest, but I do remember, I think it was Miss McFall. Is that right, guys?
Red hair.
Yes, Miss McFall.
Yes. Yeah. She, I don't know if this was 7th or 8th grade, but it was sometime in middle school. We were talking about sometime in the early 1900s. It was history. and we were talking about like child labor laws and stuff like that. Or this was like how she brought it up basically. So we had a class where it was like a little example thing. We had a class where we had to like basically be an assembly line, kind of. We were at like little tables, we had to do like an assembly line, and she was putting on this all like persona of like what it was like for, you know, children and when they were working, because she didn't tell us at first. So we were all so pressed. We were all so angry, like what is going on? Because it was complete different change of tone. We were like, what is going on?
I mean, she's like, the nicest person on the face of the planet. So for her to be there and be like a dictator, that's like, that would have been hilarious.
We were so confused, and we were like all so angry. And then at the end of the class, she was like, I forget what she said, but she basically was like, so what'd you guys think? Like, how is that like? And we were like, what is going on? It was something with folding papers and like making letters, I think. And if she didn't like it, she would take it up and crumble it up and throw it in the trash.
And yes, very, very not characteristic of any of our teachers, much less Mrs. McBall.
And so the reveal, it was like, oh my God. And we were all like, she was like, I promise, like, I'm so sorry. She was like so apologetic as well. And so then we like started talking about, you know, the history and everything. That's just like, you know, one of the things that St. Pete's does is like be creative in their teaching, like you said. And I think that was just a great experience, because I mean, I still remember that. And looking back on it, it was a lot of fun. A little scary at the time, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to do a lot of thinking on the fly, coming up with solutions at random, you know, specifically some of the competitions or clubs I've been a part of. So definitely been hugely important coming from that creative background. Not all solution. I mean, that's what engineering is, right? You know, problem solving with a lot of math. But that definitely has led to hugely important, not only in just, you know, in clubs and stuff, but I mean, I've talked with friends of mine who've, you know, graduated and gone on to work in industry. And funny enough, creativity is some of the most important factors or qualities to look for in an engineer, simply because things don't always work out the way you want it, or, you know, even in simulation. So you have to come up with, you know, solutions for that out of the box.
Very cool. Having Abby walk by. Abby Gould was here at St. Benedict's also. Her dad is actually still on the board of trustees. It just shows that, to the next question, our secret sauce, I think, has always been community. That we're able to, 3 zip codes is where all of our students mostly come from. You don't have to drive on a highway to get to your friend's house to have us spend the night here at St. Benedict's. And you get to know everyone, and you have to see them every day. I think Abby was actually the one that said the best thing that happened to her going to a big school was that she knew she was going to have to see those people every day, and like them or not like them, you have to get along. Well, thank you, Catherine, Matthew, and Ryan. You guys have given us a lot to hang our hat on and sit on the precipice waiting for part 2. Everyone who is currently listening, I'm sure you cannot wait to hear more about their story and their enduring impact at St. Benedict's Episcopal School. To our listeners again, especially our esteemed alumni, we hope this conversation has brought you back to some fond memories, reinforced the bonds that connect us as we approach the 15th anniversary of St. Benedict's. We encourage all alumni to stay connected, and I will have more about that in part 2. Again, remember, you're an integral part of St. Benedict's story, and we look forward to celebrating our milestone together. Until next time, part 2. This is Father Brian Sullivan signing off from Planting Seeds, wishing you a continued success and growth in all your endeavors. Thank you all for listening and getting to know our growing community, and we will see you soon for part 2. As always, keep spreading kindness, compassion, and love.
Thanks for listening to Planting Seeds, Cultivating Critical Thinking, Creativity, Community, and Lifelong Learning with your host, Father Brian Sullivan. To find out more about St. Benedict's Episcopal School, visit stbs.org.
This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. All rights reserved.